You know that moment when you wake up after a full 8 hours of sleep. You open your eyes, you see the clock, and everything technically makes sense, and yet your body feels like it never signed off for the night. Like you didn't sleep, you just became temporarily inactive. You lie there for a few seconds trying to find the reset feeling you were promised, but instead there's this quiet heaviness, like your mind is still buffering something it never finished processing. And the confusing part is, you did everything right. You went to bed at a decent time, you stayed in bed long enough, maybe even avoided your phone, so why does your body feel like it's running on low battery anyway? The strange truth is that sleep is not just about duration. It is about depth, rhythm, emotional load, and what your mind continues doing while your body is supposed to be offline. And once you start looking closely, you realize something unsettling. There are different kinds of tiredness hiding underneath the same 8 hours. There is a type of person known as the high-functioning overthinker, and you can recognize them by what happens when everything finally gets quiet. During the day, they seem fine, even composed. They answer messages, meet deadlines, function normally, sometimes even impressively. But the moment they lie down at night, it's like someone opened a mental floodgate. Suddenly every conversation from earlier replays with alternate endings. Every mistake becomes slightly bigger. Every upcoming task becomes slightly more urgent. And the brain, instead of slowing down, starts organizing an entire archive of worries. Psychologically, this is called hyperarousal, a state where the nervous system never fully transitions into safe enough to shut off. Even during sleep, parts of the brain remain partially alert, scanning for problems, rehearsing scenarios, trying to regain a sense of control. So yes, they sleep for 8 hours. But it's not the kind of sleep where the mind fully drops into deep restoration. It's more like the body is resting, while the mind keeps a dim light on in the background, and they wake up feeling like they never truly stepped away from themselves. Then there is the social jet lag sleeper, and this one is quietly more disruptive than people realize because it hides inside normal routines. This is the person who sleeps enough hours, but never at a consistent biological rhythm. Weekdays are disciplined, structured, predictable, sleep at the same time, wake up early, repeat. But then weekends arrive, and the entire system shifts. Late nights, late mornings, irregular patterns that feel harmless in the moment. But the brain is not measuring sleep in isolated nights. It is tracking patterns across weeks. Your internal clock, or circadian rhythm, starts expecting one schedule and repeatedly gets another. It's like constantly changing time zones without ever leaving your bedroom. So even if you get 8 hours, your body sometimes wakes up at the wrong internal biological time, where the sleep you just completed does not fully align with the rhythm your brain was expecting. That mismatch creates a subtle but persistent fog, a feeling of being awake but not synchronized. Like your mind is still adjusting to a time zone that keeps shifting under your feet. Then there is the emotional processor sleeper, and this version of tiredness feels heavier in a different way. This is the person who is fine all day because they are functioning, responding, handling things, keeping emotional weight tucked neatly behind productivity. But at night, when stimulation fades and distractions disappear, the mind finally turns inward. And everything that was ignored during the day slowly rises to the surface. That conversation you brushed off becomes a replay. That unresolved tension becomes a reconstruction. That feeling you didn't have time to process suddenly has all night to exist. From a psychological perspective, sleep becomes a form of emotional accounting. The brain uses quiet time to sort through unresolved experiences. Not because something is wrong, but because it finally has space to do so. The problem is that this processing doesn't always feel restful. So even after 8 hours, you wake up carrying emotional residue, like your mind was working a second shift, while your body was supposed to be off duty. Then there is the attention-fragmented sleeper, a pattern that has become increasingly common in a world where focus is constantly interrupted. This is the person whose day is built on rapid switching. Messages, notifications, videos, tasks, conversations, all broken into short fragments of attention. The brain adapts to this environment by reducing its ability to stay deeply engaged for long periods. Everything becomes a transition, and when this pattern continues for long enough, it doesn't just affect waking life, it carries into sleep. The nervous system becomes accustomed to light stimulation and frequent shifts, so deep, uninterrupted rest feels less natural. Even sleep architecture can become lighter, more fragmented. With micro-arousals the person never remembers. So in the morning, instead of waking up with clarity, there is a kind of mental static, a sense that the mind never fully sank into deep restoration. It's not dramatic fatigue, it's subtle interference, like the brain never fully stopped receiving background signals. And finally, there is the depleted but stable sleeper, which is often the most frustrating experience because it doesn't feel explainable. This is the person who does everything correctly. They sleep on time, they get their hours, they don't obviously overextend themselves at night, and yet they still wake up tired. The reason is that sleep is not just a recovery tool, it is also a repair window. And if the demands of waking life consistently exceed the recovery available in one night, the system never fully catches up. Chronic stress, emotional strain, cognitive overload, or even subtle ongoing pressure can accumulate faster than sleep can resolve it. So sleep becomes maintenance rather than restoration, like plugging in a device that is still running too many background processes. The battery increases, but it never feels truly full because the drain resumes immediately upon waking. So when you step back and look at all of this, the question shifts. It's no longer just, did I sleep enough? It becomes, what kind of mental and emotional state am I carrying into my sleep? And what is my mind still doing while I'm asleep? Because sleep is not a simple on-off switch. It is shaped by rhythm, by attention, by emotional residue, and by the quiet patterns of your daily life that don't stop just because your eyes are closed. And once you start noticing these patterns, something both uncomfortable and relieving becomes clear. Your tiredness is not random. It is structured. It is patterned. It is information. So if you've been waking up after 8 hours and still feeling like you never truly recovered, the real question isn't just about sleep duration. It's about which version of you is showing up at night without you realizing it. The one who overthinks, the one who drifts through time zones, the one processing emotions in silence, the one constantly fragmented by attention, or the one simply running at a pace that sleep alone cannot fully repair. And once you can see that clearly, the goal stops being just more sleep and starts becoming something deeper, learning how to give your mind a reason to actually rest.